Is the vision for this site up to become one of the big guys?
Actually, yes. Well, in a very different way, in a way that the industry that hasn't seen before. And we don't have to. We can do this. We can provide an example of, or we can provide a counterweight to a very hierarchical, very consolidated system by staying lean and small, but working together with a whole bunch of other value-based traders in a way that we'll probably talk about later, but in a way that we can share resources without fearing of having to be taken over.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop, It's Time to Become a Coffee Consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 1 of a brand new 5-part series with Lennart Clerkx from This Side Up Trading, an importer into Europe. This is going to be a fascinating discussion. And what we're going to talk about is it possible to remain an independent, values-based coffee trader long-term? Lennart, welcome to the podcast for the first time.
Yeah, great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you because you and I met in India at the fabulous South India Coffee Co booth. Shout out to Komal and Akshay. And I always meet great people around these great people. And so we have been trying for quite some time, over a year now, to get you on the podcast, to have a conversation about this specific thing. Everybody who works with you raves about you. And I wanted to understand how it's possible for somebody to rave about an importer, because not many people rave about importers. I don't deal with importers, but I can tell you that most people are not speaking great things about importers. I haven't met anyone who said a single shitty thing about you. Wow. And so for me, I want to understand how somebody bucks the trend of in that situation. And then you put up a post recently that I virtually didn't let you say no to coming on the podcast. I wrote you a message and said, dude, now is the time. Let's do this. This is amazing. So before we start getting into the series, please tell people about This Side Up and you and the business as you want to describe it.
Where to start? We're an importer, but we, from the outset, we never really wanted to be an importer. We're a reluctant importer.
Okay.
The idea was always to provide an alternative to the
status quo,
the import business, and which meant going into direct trade. We saw the problems of direct trade. We saw how that really couldn't scale. So then we thought, okay, what the industry needs is direct trade facilitation. Somebody who stands for, who vouches for farmers or exporters who we know and trust, and gets them in contact with roasters all over Europe. Then we realized in order to do that, we need to become an importer. So
don't you hate that?
Because
you become the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody was going to buy the beans in Rwanda because they were like, who the hell are you? You know, we didn't have that. We didn't have that trust in the beginning. Now, 10, 11 years later, we do have a lot of that original model is back. Because now, a lot of our work is to make introductions, to get people in both sides of the chain to actually talk to each other, because we're fully transparent, because we have nothing to hide, because that builds trust, and then all the stories behind it, basically putting the farmers in 14 countries on a pedestal, on a stage, and having the contact information there for everyone to really genuinely get in touch and start a conversation, and then provide the beans as backup. That's the actual service, obviously, that we provide, is that we have all the coffee lying there and taking care of all the not so nice parts of just actually importing the coffee and stressing about that. So
in this discussion, this episode of this series, we're going to talk about the difference between an independent coffee trader and importer versus the big guys. You are the first person that helped me understand that there is a difference. And essentially, it's not necessarily difficult to, well, I mean, it is difficult, but it's not the most challenging part of being an importer, being a small independent importer. It's, if I understand it correctly, most of the big importers started the same way that you did, or similarly to what you did. They were people who wanted to start these trading companies with great intentions, but there's a problem with scaling. And that's what we're going to traverse through this series. Am I understanding that correctly?
There are definitely traders like us who started with a lot of good intentions, and then at some point, through whatever reason, couldn't cut it anymore, and the big guys were there waiting to swallow
inhale them.
But I don't think that all traders started out with good intentions. I think trading, I mean, the history of trade is the history of this horrible history of coffee, big trade houses exploiting origin, basically making a buck off of the information asymmetry between origin and so the point of trading was to make money. I mean, obviously. So I think that's where 90% of coffee trade is born, comes from that mindset, is just to make money.
And in the next episode, we're going to talk about how coffee is funded. And folks, this is going to break your fucking brain in the best way possible. And I can't wait to talk about it because I've been waiting for a few years to discuss this. So I'm glad I'm doing it with you. But let's talk about what is the difference between independent traders and the big guys. On a very real level, what's the difference?
A big part is that using the market. I mean, right? The market was created. The seed market was created by traders just to stabilize price. Whereas the small independent traders, especially the ones, well, I guess all of them, because before, I'm not sure if they existed before direct trade, they come from the intention of highlighting origin and highlighting quality, highlighting that trade can be a force of good somehow. So in that sense, it is intrinsically very different. Now, of course, big trade houses also have their specialty departments. But they're in not as risky situation as us, because they get the working capital from their big, let's say,
You could say it. It's all right. The Illuminati is not coming. They'll come for me, not for you. Trust me. I'm waiting for the phone call. It will happen at some point, but they're not coming for you. They're coming for me. Help me.
It's hard to say like what exactly is because the voice, the way that big business sounds nowadays, the words that are being used are very, very similar to what the people with the right intentions have. But in the end, I think, we can train ourselves to see the difference. And that is it's really about transparency.
It's why we blast from the mountaintops the difference between a values-driven business and one that's not. Like if you can look at a business with those goggles on, find out what their values are, but then stress test those values. Like where are they demonstrating those through? And this is why you having a conversation with you was so appealing to me, is because it's not just that you've got these values on a website and blah, 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 blah. It's every single person I spoke to about you echoed that sentiment.
And that's impossible to fake.
That's my point. It's what we've been trying to get people to understand. You can't pay for that credibility. You must earn it. And there's no shortcut. Because the second it's revealed, you've lost all trust and you can't ever earn it back again.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, if I understand what you've said correctly about the difference between the small guys and the big guys, the independents are actually trading coffee. They're working in a supply chain for the supply chain. The big guys are using the supply chain as a mechanism for other things, even though they may be using the supply chain for coffee, but they're hijacking it in ways to perhaps do other things.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of times in the specialty departments of these big guys, the people who work there, they come from this value-based trading.
Right.
They're very good friends, and they have the same values as us, but they also have pains in their heart that they sold out, because that's in the end, shareholder value and profit will trump taking care of farmers in 100% of the cases. So,
and it's heartbreaking, right?
Summary. Yeah.
It's heartbreaking because life is hard. It's difficult to raise a family. It's expensive to raise a family. And often what I see with small business owners is that they get into business and they have no idea how difficult it's going to be. Then they reach a point where they have outspent themselves. They've tapped out all their resources. They've built a great customer base, but they're not making any money. And they are at the edge of sanity and what they can deal with. And then the predators come in and start with the consolidation. And then all of the team that works for them gets consumed in that consolidation process. So whether the team wants to or not, they now have become a part of a corporate. And there's a process that happens through that where the individuals are sold the lie of nothing's going to change. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to let you run independently.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a decision. They've usually sweetened the deal by increasing everybody's wages. So everyone feels fantastic in the beginning. And then they get to see behind the veil. And they're complicit in ways that the old company that they worked for would never have compromised this way. But that's why the small business owner was at the edge of their sanity, is because they weren't lying, cheating, and stealing to get there.
Or in our case, we're very, very lucky to have a father who was willing to put in the money. I got a loan from my father, who's also the CFO of this site up. He's also the one who's been making sure for the last 11 years that our bottom line is in check. And he's way, way, way overqualified. And that's been the basis of this peace that we have been able to have. Of course, we've also lied awake at night, but we've never had this fear of, well, that's not true. We've had the fear of going bust in the first year all the time because we weren't making any money. But at some point when we started running, it's actually we're becoming more and more confident that that values-based, the way we do things is actually attracting customers, the right type of money, investment, everything. So yeah, but it starts with this immense privilege that I've had to be able to yeah suck up resources for quite some time before it started making money.
Is the vision for this side up to become one of the big guys?
Actually, yes. Well, in a very different way, in a way that the industry that hasn't seen before. And we don't have to. We can do this. We can provide an example of, or we can provide a counterweight to a very hierarchical, very consolidated system by staying lean and small, but working together with a whole bunch of other value-based traders in a way that we'll probably talk about later, but in a way that we can share resources without fearing of having to be taken over.
I want to ask you. Go ahead, please.
So the counterweight will be a whole new system that I think we're just by being us, things are leading towards more and more, without sounding too vague.
I know that you can't reveal some of the things that you've got planned for the future. We'll have you back on the podcast when you are able to discuss it, because it'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about your mindset around this idea of competition. How do you view competition?
It's like a ghost. It's like you if you believe in it, it's there, and otherwise it's not. It's super simple. It's the idea of scarcity, right? If I steal a customer, if you feel that you put in effort to steal somebody's customer, or it is being stolen from you, then then you have created this idea of competition in your mind. It's not. It wasn't there. It's just an idea. Like if you believe that the right people come to you because of the things that from the inside out you exude, then there's no competition. There's just collaboration. There's just
solving problems,
showing what you do, and working together. And it sounds idealistic, but that's literally, we don't have a sales department. We don't have we just pick up the things that come to us through word of mouth and through the social media channels, because I think that is really important. Is really, we're not doing this enough. Like, we keep sort of telling that we should, because there's so many stories to tell, and we want to tell everything. And that is, I think, that is the inside out. That is how you inspire people to come to you. Yeah. And,
will you tell me about? Will you tell everyone about the post that I referred to at the beginning of the episode?
Oh yeah. So one of the things that isn't being talked about at all in coffee is how to make ownership structures resilient for the long term. And this has been fascinating me for the last 2 years, because there's quite some energy here in the Netherlands and in Germany around this topic of making steward-owned companies. So there's this festival that is done every year called Ownership Done Differently. I was there last year. I started talking about how this side up should change its ownership structure to reflect the values of the company. It's super weird that I own a part of the company and my father and Maarten, who's the other partner, when actually we feel we are serving an organism, literally, not as a metaphor, but literally. And the organism is our community, is this side up, is its values, is everything. That shouldn't be, in the same way as a human can't be owned partially. That has to change, and finding a lot of inspiration through a lot of people in different industries who are doing that. But my father was very skeptical towards this, because he thought in the future, for your pension, having 35% of this side up is going to be valuable, right? And then you build a company, you build these values, and at some point you can sell this side up and be rewarded. So, and the same goes for Maarten, who, unlike me, does not have a rich father. So he also cares for him. So we've had difficult conversations about this. Like, should you really go this path? Because you're really like you're forfeiting this pension, this future. I think a lot of people think like this, and rightly so. At the same time, that also makes everything you've set up vulnerable to a massive change of culture. Even as you said, it might be very slow but it will happen. It will sort of slowly be taken over if you're being taken over by the big boys. So what was amazing is that my father, I invited him to come to this festival and to be inspired, and he came. And not only was he there, but he had amazing talks, and he even bought some books. He looked at he's now really getting into all the different ownership structures, and he feels that we are very serious about doing this in one way or another. Even though he wouldn't do it himself, I respect immensely that
his openness.
He's open. He's like, okay, if this is what you guys are going to do, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna make it. We're gonna find the best way to do it, and for him also to exit in that sense.
How do you feel about capitalism?
Where to start?
As we get towards the end of the episode, I'm hearing you talk, right? And I'm also hearing so many people in the discussions that I have on the podcast and outside of the podcast with business owners that are saying, Lee, this is so hard. This is so hard. And I keep saying the same thing. The reason this is taking you longer is because you're not lying, cheating, or stealing to get there.
That's it.
You're not taking any shortcuts. That doesn't mean that capitalism is shit. It means that corrupt capitalism and exploitative, predatory capitalism is shit. And so this is why I ask you this question. Like, what is your view as somebody who is looking for these, some people would term them as like alternates to capitalism or alternative ways to engage in capitalism. What is your perspective of capitalism?
It's a very incomplete representation of the way we do business, the way we interact with each other. It very much celebrates individualism, right? And that is an amazing thing. Like, communism was horrible.
Yep.
It's criminal. The good part about that was that there were communal values. There was a communal the idea of togetherness was there, but it was organized outside of people's
togetherness.
Control. Yeah. And then there's capitalism that has complete separation between everyone, but is organized individually. What if, or from your own free will, what if there is a version of the world that is both together and free?
Love that.
And that what we're actually going towards now is the worst of two worlds, because we see more and more rules, more and more basically communist features in our world economy. EUDR is a thing, like we see like top down measures trying to control us more and more in an otherwise so-called free system where everything is for sale. So we have the worst of communism, the worst of capitalism coming together and forming basically the world what we live in. And nobody's really thinking of the complete alternative is finding structures to work freely and from a point of view of togetherness. So that's what we're creating, and what we didn't know that we were creating this. Like I heard this for the first time at this festival a year ago, and I think, shit, this is what we've been doing for the last years. Like it doesn't matter in which system of farmers or customers. They can be corporate. They can be. Our customers come from all walks of life, and the farmers come from all walks of life. It's just that through this side up, we're creating an economy of understanding, of the more you tell each other, the more you'll be rewarded instead of being punished, right? So you're everyone understands each other. Everyone finds ways to build long-term partnerships in their own unique way. So that's what we realized. This side up is kind of a beacon to start really like resonating this economy of peace. This is what was,
I'm excited for the people that are listening to this that are finding it really frustrating to figure out what's next. How do I continue to do this when I'm beating up people who don't deserve to occupy the space that they occupy because they didn't earn the place that they are as a business? They stole the place that they are in a predatory way. And the people that are listening to this that are thinking, I never thought it was going to be this hard. I'm grateful to you for sharing what you shared, because you just sprinkled a little bit of hope and inspiration into the industry. Those people that are listening to this that are like, fuck, this is so hard. How am I going to make this when I have these big giants around me? That's not to say, folks, that anyone should jump in and just start a trading company. That's not how it works. And we're going to talk about the funding element of that in the next episode. Anyway, thanks, Lennart. This was a fantastic episode. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.